Hello, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in to another YouTube video and into another gut health product review. This has been something that's been really fun for me to do for you all, and you guys have given me some really good feedback, and you seem to like these, and the least I can do is help you all up your knowledge and specifically your supplement knowledge, because we all know the supplement industry is riddled with false claims and faulty advertising. So I'm here to bring you the science and help you trust in your gut when you're making decisions as to what products to buy. And as the name implies, today we're going to talk about Now Foods Colostrum. Colostrum is becoming a very popular immune system supplement. Everyone nowadays is wanting to take things to support their immune system and to keep it functioning optimally. And Now is a pretty big brand in the space. So we are going to take a deep dive into what colostrum is, why there's a need, the dosages. We're going to do some product comparisons, and then I'll give my general opinion since I've been using this product for the past several months. Go ahead and minimize my screen here. So why do we need colostrum? As I've discussed in previous videos, the human guts or the GI tract is under constant insult, and more insult now than ever before. Things such as poor sleep habits, improper stress management, not eating the proper diet, not moving in the way that your body was designed to, different organisms or pathogens that we're exposed to in our days, or funguses or mold. And all of those that I just mentioned can lead to things like a dysregulated immune system, an overabundance of oxidative stress, poor digestive health or poor gut health. And then because of those underlying things, you end up getting sick. So our immune system, 70% of which, as some papers cite, is housed within our gut, is under constant bombardment from the factors that we just touched on. And now we're going to look at the ingredient profile in Now Foods Colostrum. Dried bovine colostrum. So bovine means it comes from cow origin. And that's it. And I put this slide in here to kind of show you guys that later on, we're going to talk about how the colostrum space, there's some different nomenclature that exists that makes it kind of difficult to understand, hey, what's colostrum and what's immunoglobulins and things like that. And if I just really confuse you, we'll get into more of the details. But just know that in terms of what it says on the ingredient, it's just dried bovine colostrum. And for those of you who are like, okay, sounds good. What is colostrum? We're going to get into that now. So colostrum is naturally produced by what's called the mammillary glands within the first 1 to 3 days of life, and it's produced by the mother. And mammillary means milk producing cells. And colostrum is also considered the first milk because it is produced so quickly after a mother or any sort of mammal gives birth. It helps to sort of equip our immune system. So if you think of a soldier going out for battle, or if you used to play Call of Duty a lot like I did, you get to pick your weapon class before you go in. What colostrum does is equips you with ammunitions and smoke grenades and maybe a rifle to shoot. So from colostrum's perspectives, it gives our immune system growth factors. Antibodies are also called immunoglobulins. Antimicrobial proteins, and one of which we'll get into is a protein called lactoferrin, which is very important because this protein helps to bind iron. And if there's one thing we've learned about pathogenic organisms, it's that they love to use iron. So if you have lactoferrin present in your GI tract, you can bind up excess iron, you derive pathogen, or you remove the food source from pathogenic organisms, and then they can't live. enzymes, and these are going to consist of things such as immunomodulatory, which just means it alters the immune system, or anti-inflammatory enzymes such as interleukin 10 or tumor growth factor beta. Again, these are all fancy words, but they're just compounds that help to alter the status of our immune system, and some of them serve anti-inflammatory functions. And this is the picture here of the female breast anatomy. And I show this to show you guys the mammary glands, excuse me. And those are the purple shaped lobules that you see there. Those are the ones that actually produce milk and hence will produce the colostrum product. So I mentioned antibodies are one of the things that comes from colostrum, and immunoglobulins are underneath the antibodies class. And I just wanted to give you guys a quick note on immunoglobulins because that's going to be a big theme of our discussion here. So there's 4 main types. The one we are going to focus on the most is IgG, and how I remember that is IgG because they're the greatest amount of immunoglobulins in blood or serum. And we'll get into this in a little bit. IgA is also super important for the gut because it is located within the gut. For those of you familiar with allergic reactions, IgE, allergy, and then IgM is the first immunoglobulin on the scene, and that's one not really discussed in a whole lot of detail. So how does colostrum work? As we touched on previously, colostrum is produced within the first 1 to 3 days of life. It's considered the first milk, and that helps to feed the newborn, whether it be a newborn calf or a newborn human. And because the environment, especially the gut environment of a newborn child, is so leaky, colostrum can actually make its way into systemic circulation and have effects system-wide in the body. And this gets important as we age, because as we age, we don't want as leaky of a gut. That can mean harmful compounds and potentially immune reactive compounds can make their way into systemic circulation. But as an infant, you want that because you want your immune system in your body to get exposed to as many things in the outside environment as it should. And as I just mentioned, in adults, the colostrum is going to affect more locally and specifically within the gut. Since you want to alter the GI environment, you want that local effect to take place in adults. And how does colostrum specifically act within the gut? It binds to pathogenic organisms or substances that these pathogens produce. And it can also bind, and I thought this is really cool, allergic inducing compounds. So think of someone who, as soon as they go outside, if there's a new tree or if it's the first time they're in an area, they just start sneezing, runny nose, coughing. They feel like there's phlegm in the back of the throat. Or people that are just always allergic to grasses and trees. Colostrum can actually bind to some of those compounds that produce those feelings of runny nose and dry mouth and things like that. And also dust mites. Sometimes people are allergic to the combination of animal dander combined with other different kinds of dust that accumulate within the house. And even people that have wheat allergies. So I'm not referring to celiac disease here, but rather some people have a wheat allergy, and colostrum can bind to those things and prevent those same reactions from happening in your body. And a lot of how it works, especially in adults, is colostrum can change the microbiome. And ideally, we want to alter the microbiome to allow more good guys to flourish and less pathogens or less opportunistic organisms. And as it's kind of branded as, it's an immune system support product. So it has immunomodulatory properties. And I know I've been using that word modulatory a lot, and it just means it can alter it. And we're going to get into in a second here where within the gut colostrum has these immune modulating properties. So this picture looks a little confusing and it's a little wordy. I'm sorry about that, but there's a couple of things I want you guys to focus on. If you see the blue space on the top of the picture here, that is the mucus layer within the gut. This layer is extremely important because that's where all of our bacteria in our gut like to hang out, whether it's the good guys, the bad guys, the pathogenic organisms. And there's always this battleground taking place in this mucus layer. And you see that blue cell that's called a mucus producing cell. It's a goblet cell, and they're responsible for keeping a protective barrier between the outside environment, since the gut is on the outside, and the protective layer of the gut. And some pathogens in the gut like to stick to that mucus layer and then they start to degrade it. That way it's easier for them to get inside of your body. So some of the products in colostrum, such as immunoglobulins or IgG, greatest in blood, they work to prevent these pathogenic compounds from sticking to the mucus layer and potentially leaking their way into the rest of the body. And that's where leaky gut becomes very important. Once things can make their way into the body and into systemic circulation, that's when you start seeing some potential autoimmune reactions, or you start seeing your immune system think it's reacting to harmful bacteria, when in reality it could misfire and react to your skin. So you get eczema or psoriasis, or it reacts to your thyroid and you get Hashimoto's, or it reacts to your joints and you get rheumatoid arthritis. And if you can see on the right side of the picture here, the S-IgA, that means secretory, means it's secreted IgA. And IgGs, which is, again, greatest in blood, another immunoglobulin compound, can actually induce or create the production of IgA within the gut, and can also work to promote what's called T regulatory cells. T regulatory cells, as the name implies, help to regulate the immune system response within the gut. So they're basically responsible for saying, hey, these are good guys we shouldn't attack, or hey, this thing looks a little tricky, we should go after this. So by taking colostrum and getting some of the immunoglobulins, you can help to support your immune system and allow it to not attack your own tissue and attack the things it's supposed to. And if you can see on the left there, the enterocyte, that is the cell that people are referring to whenever someone says leaky gut. And this cell on the bottom right is the plasma cell, and those are the cells that actually produce the immunoglobulin compounds. We just touched on this a little bit, but here are some of the conditions that colostrum can help to support. Leaky gut, as we just touched on a fair amount, and specifically shown in the literature, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, so Tylenol, ibuprofen, acetaminophen. A lot of people take these to help reduce pain levels, and they work really well for that, but there's always this side effect in nature. Just because something really good happens doesn't mean something harmful won't happen in return. So if you take too many NSAIDs, you can induce leaky gut. So it can help with that, help support that. If you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, we talked about that colostrum can help to modify the microbiome. And in SIBO, sometimes you have too many harmful players or too many harmful bacteria in that mucus layer that we talked about, this layer in blue right here. So by taking colostrum, you can get rid of some of those harmful compounds that those bacteria produce. Traveler's diarrhea, which is again another pathogen, could be E. coli, could be salmonella, but more than likely E. coli. And again, it helps to prevent that bacteria from binding to the gut lining and making its way into systemic circulation. And traveler's diarrhea is now considered to be post-infectious IBS, and there's a lot of overlap now between post-infectious IBS and SIBO that hangs around for a long time. IBSD, which has the D stands for diarrhea. Dysbiosis, which to me, this is probably one of the more important things it helps to support, because dysbiosis is an underlying factor to all of these conditions I just mentioned. So when you have leaky gut, it could be because you have too many bad guys and not enough good guys, because the good guys fight off the bad guys and prevent them from breaking that mucus layer and making their way into systemic circulation. SIBO, some people used to think that it's too many bacteria in the small intestine. Well, now we're starting to find that it's specifically too many bad guys or too many harmful bacteria growing in the small intestine. Traveler's diarrhea happens because of a pathogenic organism. And if you have a lot of good guys, they can help fight off the bad guys. So dysbiosis is really one of the, what we try to do in functional medicine is identify the root cause of what started or what led to someone's symptoms or condition happening. And in a lot of instances, it's via dysbiosis, or too many harmful bacteria and not enough good guys. And that can lead to immune dysregulation. And as we touched on with the previous picture, if you get dysbiosis and you get pathogens into the bloodstream, you can mount an immune response to them. And sometimes, for whatever reason, our immune system can be as good a free throw shooter or a shooter as Shaquille O'Neal. So you miss, and you end up attacking thyroid tissue, joint, skin, unfortunately, brain tissue or neuronal tissue, and multiple sclerosis in some instances. So to me, dysbiosis and immune dysregulation are some of the biggest conditions that colostrum can really, really help to support and really help to shield and shore up that gut environment. So when you go to buy any sort of colostrum products, you may see one or two things listed. You may see dried bovine colostrum, as now has, or you may see just immunoglobulins, or there's a product out there called serum-derived bovine immunoglobulins. That just means they concentrated the immunoglobulins from the serum, which is a part of blood. And those concentrates of immunoglobulins, because they're concentrated, they're going to have more immunoglobulins in them, specifically IgG, which is one of the molecules we really want to have. And as we talked about, though, colostrum does have many beneficial compounds beside immunoglobulins. So if you look on the left here, in your traditional colostrum product, you're going to find immunoglobulins, IgG. You're going to find that lactoferrin molecule that helps bind iron. You're going to find, proline-rich polypeptides, which are another immune modulatory compound. But then if you find concentrated immunoglobulins, it's only going to be those immunoglobulin substances. And if you see that picture on the bottom right, you'll see that serum-derived bovine immunoglobulins. So it was extracted in a different method than traditional colostrum is. And for this reason, some people, especially within the natural, functional, alternative health world, prefer to use compounds on the right because they can pack more of a punch. And they're giving you more of those immunoglobulins, which have such a wide range of effects, whereas lactoferrin just prevents iron absorption, whereas the immunoglobulins, like I said, have a lot of different things that they can do. And here's a comparison. And a couple things to point out here, all the price per dosage is based on 3,000 milligrams. And now the Now brand prides itself on being a more cost-effective. We don't want to discriminate between any sort of socioeconomic status. So for those of you where price is the number one thing you're looking at for purchasing your supplements, Now is a great choice. But I invite you, instead of just pure cost, to think about the value of supplements. And to me, Company C, which actually lists the exact dosage of IgGs in its colostrum, is also fairly affordable. and unfortunately now doesn't list out its concentrations of immunoglobulins, which is fine. But to me, because of this, company C might be the most attractive option because it has the most amount of transparency. Company C actually also lists how much lactoferrin and proline rich polypeptides they have. So to me, company C is the most value, the most attractive option. But again, it's kind of up to you, the individual, to decide what are the number one things in a supplement that you're looking for. And if you want to learn more about me or any of the content I produce, you can always subscribe to this YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And while we're here, don't forget to give it a like and leave a comment down below if you've had any experiences with colostrum or any other immunoglobulin-based supplements. I write a fair amount of health and specifically gut health and autoimmune related articles on a platform called Medium. I try to post there at least once a week. And there is a paid version of that service, but I post all my articles for free so you all can get the most amount of information as possible for free on the internet. And you can follow me on Instagram, where I post several times a week, sometimes about my life, sometimes gut health and autoimmune related content. So thank you guys for tuning in to today's YouTube video. I hope you did find it really beneficial. Again, I can't emphasize enough wanting to be really transparent and really tell you guys all the information that there is in the supplement industry, because there's more companies every day seemingly popping up to tell you to buy their products, and our products are the best. So I hope this was helpful in helping you guys identify what to look for, maybe what factors to consider when purchasing supplements. And please subscribe again if you want to see more content like this. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. And as always, trust in your gut.